Good afternoon, Savannah. Y'all give it up one more time for Common. Common, thank you for sharing your music and your heart with us. Give it up for Reverend Raphael Warnock, a native son of Savannah. Thank you so much for being here. Savannah, the polls are open. The polls are open. So Savannah, say it with me now. Say vote. Say vote. Say vote. The polls are open, Savannah. Just think about how far we've come. Just pause with me and think about how far we've come. Georgia is the most competitive battleground state in the United States. The whole country is watching us, Georgia. The whole country is watching you. Say vote. Say vote. Think about how far we've come. 2 runoffs to determine control of the United States Senate. And your standard bearers are the young Jewish son of an immigrant mentored by John Lewis and a black preacher who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Georgia, think about how far we've come. This is the New South. This is the New South, Savannah. And we're running against the Bonnie and Clyde of corruption in politics. Savannah, how did we wind up with David and Kelly? How did we wind up with David and Kelly? 2 United States senators more concerned with lining their own pockets in office than protecting the health and the financial well-being of we the people who pay their salaries. But we can hold them accountable, Savannah. We can hold them accountable at the ballot box. Now say vote. Say vote. Retirement is coming for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. And we have bigger and better things to discuss than David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Like what kind of a future we're going to build together. If you're wondering what you've been feeling in your heart these last 4 weeks, that maybe you haven't felt in 4 years, that's called hope. Because Savannah, Donald Trump is leaving. Donald Trump is leaving. And Georgia sent Donald Trump packing. Georgia voters sent Donald Trump packing. So now we have the opportunity to write the next chapter. The fog is lifting. We can raise our eyes to the horizon again, and instead of the daily outrage and insult and scandal, we can dream about what's possible. And together, we're building a movement for health, jobs, and justice for the people. Health, jobs, and justice for all the people, Savannah. Savannah, do you believe, like the Rev and I do, that health care is a human right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it or for those who live in the right zip code? We can establish health care as a human right in this great country. Every Georgian deserves the best health care available in the world. I was just in Cuthbert, Georgia a couple of days ago. Their hospital closed in October. In the middle of a pandemic, their hospital closed. One of 9 rural hospitals that have closed in 10 years in Georgia. Our access to health care should not depend upon the zip code that we live in, Georgia. And if you send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will deliver the resources to reopen those rural hospitals and to build hospitals and clinics that serve every community across this state, because Savannah, health care is a human right, not just a privilege for those who can afford it. But see, we face corruption. We face corruption. David Perdue, who hadn't held a public town hall meeting in 6 years. David Perdue, who is too much of a coward to come out and debate his opponent. And David, if you're watching, I'm ready for you, David. I'm still ready for you. Come out of hiding, David. Come out and answer questions. Your senator who hadn't held a public town hall meeting, who won't debate his opponent, did you know that he sells meetings for corporate money? Have y'all seen this? David Perdue sends out these invitations to lobbyists in Washington. Looks like an invitation to the ball. It's written all fancy. But for a $7,500 corporate PAC check, David Perdue will sell you 4 meetings per year, access to his home, a retreat on a private island, and an end-of-year phone call. That's called corruption, Savannah. And that's why David Perdue sells us out to the drug companies and the insurance companies and votes to let them deny us a policy because we have a pre-existing condition like asthma or diabetes or heart disease. That's why they let drug companies rip us off at the pharmacy every day when Georgia families can't afford the insulin that we need to survive. It stops now, Savannah. We have the power to hold them accountable at the ballot box to deliver health and jobs and justice for all the people, Savannah. So, Savannah, say vote. Say vote. Health, jobs, and justice for all the people. Let's talk about jobs. Imagine what is possible when we win these 2 Senate races. We can pass the most ambitious infrastructure, jobs, and clean energy program in American history. We can create tens of thousands of jobs for the community here and across the state. We can upgrade our public schools. We can build new clinics and hospitals. We can build new transit and transportation. We can make America the #1 producer of clean energy on earth, and Georgia the #1 producer of clean energy in the American South. We can do all of that, Savannah. We can do all of that, Savannah. But here's the bottom line. If Mitch McConnell and the Republicans hold the Senate, they will try to do to Joe and Kamala exactly what they tried to do to President Obama. They will block the COVID relief that we need. They will block the $15 minimum wage that working people in this state deserve. They will block affordable health care. They will block the investment in infrastructure and jobs and clean energy that our state and our nation are crying out for at this moment of crisis. And this is why the whole country is watching us, Georgia. We have the power. You have the power to write the next chapter. And the polls are open, Savannah. So say it with me again now. Say vote. Say vote. Health, jobs, and justice for all the people. Let's talk about justice. Let's talk about justice. See, my mother came to this country as an immigrant when she was 23 years old. She came here alone as a young woman because she believed in what this country stands for. That doesn't mean, by the way, that she indulged some fantasy about our past. That doesn't mean that she didn't recognize how much further this country has to go. But my mother came here like millions of immigrants have come here because they believe this country is on a journey toward fully realizing our founding ideals of equality in God's eyes and equal justice under the law. That's the journey that this country is on. And what happened these last 4 years broke my mother's heart, like it broke so many hearts. But now that journey continues. That journey toward progress continues. And it starts with us here in Georgia. We will redouble our commitment to securing equal justice for all. The 14th Amendment of our Constitution already guarantees equal justice. But when Ahmaud Arbery is shot to death in broad daylight in the street on camera in Glenn County, Georgia, and the authorities look the other way just because he is a young black man, we can't say that we have equal justice in America. So Savannah, are you ready to pass a new Civil Rights Act that will secure equal justice for all of us regardless of race and regardless of class? Are you ready to end brutality and racial profiling, reform our criminal justice system? Are you ready to pass a new Voting Rights Act that will protect the sacred franchise for which so many bled and died? We have the power to make that happen, Savannah. When John Lewis and Hosea Williams and Amelia Boynton led hundreds across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, and they were met by dogs and billy clubs and fire hoses, their courage, their sacrifice paved the way for passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The next 2 years can be the most productive for civil rights and voting rights in the United States of America since 1964 and 1965. But only if we vote, Savannah. It's up to us. It's up to Georgia voters. So if you are ready to fight for justice, if you are ready to fight for equal justice under the law for all people, if you are ready to fight for voting rights, we need to work these next 3 weeks. We need to work like we've never worked before, and we need to do this from a place of love, a place of compassion, a place of decency and empathy. These 4 years of hatred and fear and racism are coming to a close. Georgia, we will write the next chapter. It is such an honor to be running alongside a man such as the Reverend Raphael Warnock. And what we are asking you to do, Savannah, is to get ready to work these next 3 weeks for record-setting turnout. Get everybody you know, everybody in your life, everybody at church, everybody at work, everybody in your neighborhood out to the polls. Let's make history, Savannah. Let's make history, Georgia. Let's show the country what this state stands for and send a message that echoes down through history and across this great country. And now please join me in welcoming someone that I have come to call a friend and an inspiration, a moral leader for our state and for our country. One of Georgia's 2 next United States senators, a native son of Savannah, the Reverend Raphael Warnock. Thank you so much, Savannah. Thank you.